Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 4th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services.
Was there a second shooter? Incredible new evidence has now come to light that casts doubt on the official theory or the official narrative that Paddock was a lone wolf. I'm going to get to this. Also, was he radicalized? The sheriff now, the Las Vegas Police Department now opens that possibility up. Believe me, my friends, the mystery thickens and thickens and thickens. But first, after the show yesterday, I received a photo that it's out on the internet now, I believe, but yesterday many in the law enforcement community were getting it. People that I know in the law enforcement community sent me a picture. It is the official picture of Stephen Paddock taken by the SWAT team, lying on the ground, blood everywhere after he had killed himself, after the SWAT team breached his hotel room. And what is clear, it's a family show, so I'm not going to get too graphic or too descriptive, but what is clear when you look at the picture is that it does look like it's a self-inflicted gun wound. On the surface, it looks like a self-inflicted gun wound. However, what this source told me, and this is somebody with very good law enforcement experience, somebody who served a couple tours in Iraq, somebody who in fact trained professional snipers, was 10 years in the military. What he told me was, and this is not just his opinion, it's that of almost every other law enforcement official that he has spoken with or shared the photo with. This is almost unanimous. Two things immediately stood out when you look at that picture. Number one, the body, now remember, this is taken what, maybe an hour after they breached it, if that, after they breached the hotel room, if that. The body looks several days old. He was adamant to me on this point. He said, look, you don't understand. I've dealt with dead bodies. As a police officer, as a veteran, I served in Iraq. Believe me, I know what a dead body looks like. I know what it looks like half an hour after it's been dead, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. The way this body looked decomposed, it looked several days old. What was even more noticeable, and he said bizarre and strange, is that as somebody who operated a sniper's nest in Iraq, as somebody who, as I said, has buried bodies or seen dead bodies, to operate a sniper's nest, remember, you're killing people. It's an incredibly high-stress situation. The stress alone would make you sweat profusely. You know you're going to come and be encountered by the SWAT team. This is most likely the last day of your life. You've blown out 2 windows. I don't care how much you've jacked up the AC in your room. It's still Nevada. It's still the desert. It's still whatever, late September, early October. It's 100 degrees out there. To operate a sniper's nest, it takes a lot of physical force and exertion. To be running back and forth from one window to the other, to the other, to the other. He goes, I'm telling you, you do that for 9-10 minutes. You're sweating like a pig. I mean, I don't want to say exactly how you put it, but you're sweating your rear end off. But here's the catch. When you look at the picture, there's not an ounce of moisture on the body. Not an ounce of moisture. The body, when you look at it, is bone dry. Dry. He said, that struck me. That struck my fellow vets. That struck fellow police officers. They go, this doesn't add up. This just does not add up. And so this is a man, says, Jeff, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've never been a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you, this smells fishy. This just does not compute in every way. I've buried bodies. I've seen what they're like. Moisture is on the body. When there's sweat, it stays after they die. It doesn't just immediately evaporate. In fact, just to share a quick personal story, when my mother passed away, God rest her soul, when she finally passed away, and she wasn't in some sniper's nest, firing machine guns and, under tremendous stress and pressure, knowing that she's going to have the police coming down on her and killing her, running around in the Las Vegas, Nevada heat in the desert in a hotel room. She just was there, for a week battling pancreatic cancer. She had been perspiring. And you know how some women in particular, they perspire above their upper lip? Well, even after she passed away, it took about an hour to remove the body from her bed, eventually to get her out of the room. There was still perspiration on her upper lip and perspiration on the top of her forehead. I remember that clearly when I saw her. I was just like looking at her and I said, "Wow!" I don't know. It just stood out. I don't know why it did. It just stood out. So this begs the question: why was there no perspiration on the body? How can this body be bone dry? It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. Now, and he told me this. He goes, "Look, I'm telling you, I've operated a sniper's nest, Jeff. You're shooting at people. You're afraid you're going to get killed. It takes a lot of physical strength." And I know this person. You should see him. He's a big guy, 6'4", 225. I mean, it's a big, strong guy. He goes, when I'm firing those bullets, like, it's hard. I mean, you're really physically exerting yourself. Never mind in the heat. Never mind in the desert. Never mind that you're 64. Never mind that you're a retiree. Never mind that you got a pot belly. Never mind that you don't have this kind of military training and background that this guy had and other people have. He goes, I'm telling you, you're drenched. Like you took a shower. You're drenched. And this guy's body is bone dry? It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. I don't care if he had the air conditioning on 50. It's impossible. It's just impossible. So again, we are not being told the full story. Now, as this is taking place, Mary Lou Danley now has been finally, the police are now saying she has become a person of interest. Remember, they ruled her out right away. And I'm thinking, well, you haven't even checked her electronic media. You haven't checked her emails. You haven't even done a proper, thorough search of the homes yet. Why are you ruling her out so quickly? Well, now Mary Lou Danley has flown back. She was in the Philippines visiting her family. She has now flown back to the United States. She landed at LAX. She is now being questioned and interrogated by the FBI. And now they say she has become a person of interest. You think. Because I want you to think about now what we're starting to find out. What we are starting to find out is that apparently Mary Lou Danley and Stephen Paddock had a kind of abusive relationship. Apparently, Starbucks baristas and managers, they went to a regular Starbucks in Reno, Nevada. They have now said that he would often, they didn't like serving them, they would come together, that he often berated her in public. He would humiliate her. She would want to pay with his gambling card. He wouldn't want her to pay with the gambling card. According to one Starbucks manager, they overheard him kind of yelling at her with a loud voice, saying, you don't need to pay with the card. I'll buy your coffee just like I've bought you. And they said the way he would verbally abuse her and berate her was disgusting, to the point that they couldn't stand serving them because they'd have to put up and listen to this guy. So here you have this woman that is in some kind of a psychological, emotional, abusive relationship, who then conveniently, just conveniently, manages to get out of the country, leave the country. She says that he just told her, I got a cheap ticket. I just found a cheap ticket. So he found a cheap ticket for her to go to the Philippines. He just sends her to the Philippines. She goes. Then he apparently wired $100,000 to an account in the Philippines. We don't know if she owned that account, if that belonged to her, her family, or for some other purpose. And then we find out that he's now owns over 47 guns. Some of them are AK-47s. Others are AR-15s. He bought high-end rifles, $1,500 to $3,000, some of them $10,000 a pop. It was $100,000 worth in terms of thousands of rounds of ammunition, nearly 50 guns, stockpiled in multiple homes, explosives, ammonium nitrate they found in one of his homes, in one of his cars, combined over $100,000 worth of firepower, that he began to purchase this in June. In June. And you know nothing about this? I'm talking about the girlfriend now, Mary Lou Danley. You know nothing about this. She's claiming she knew nothing. She's shocked. She can't believe it happened. They have no reason. She doesn't know why he did it. She had no involvement. She knows nothing about it. And that the reason why he sent her to the Philippines, according now to the sisters, is because they say he didn't want her to interfere with his plans. And all I'm thinking is, whoa. When hubby is buying AK-47s and AR-15s and bump stocks and converting them to automatic weapons and buying thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo and explosives left, right, and center, in fact, to the point that this is now what the police and the FBI are saying, it is almost a caricature of somebody. It is so extreme. Like, even if you're planning a massacre, right? You want to kill people. You're planning a massacre. You can't possibly use all those guns. You can't possibly use all that ammo. You can't possibly use all those explosives. I mean, that's enough for 4, 5, 6 massacres. He's almost stockpiling his entire house with his own arsenal like he's going to wage a private war. And then, on top of all of this, as all of this is going on, now we find out that apparently he was given prescription drugs, in particular an anti-anxiety medication, diazepam, which is basically a generic form of Valium, or otherwise known as Valium. He was given 50 tablets, 10 milligrams each, which now experts are saying could have aggressive side effects. So you have this guy stockpiling weapons. This is going on for months. His girlfriend has been shipped off to the Philippines, conveniently out of the country. She's wired $100,000 was wired to the Philippines. This guy now apparently is taking some kind of anti-anxiety medication. And then it appears that he wanted to rent certain condominium rooms 5 miles north of the Mandalay Bay because he wanted to target an even bigger country music concert on September 24th, September 25th. And the only reason why he didn't execute that attack was because the rooms were booked. So that's when he postponed it, allegedly, for 4 or 5 days, to then go to the Mandalay Bay to go after the Route 91 Harvest Country Music Concert. So he did want to go after country. What's obvious is he wanted to go after country music listeners, country music fans. He wanted to hit an even bigger concert 4 or 5 days before. Remember, she's only sent out of the country 2 days before that concert, the first one that he wanted to hit. She sent out, I think, September 22nd. September 23rd is when she leaves the country. He wanted to go after the one in September 24th, September 25th, but he couldn't book the condo rooms from the air, so he could massacre those people. So then he got something on the 32nd floor on Mandalay Bay the following weekend. and she knows nothing? She just, and notice, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. According to her sisters, she's just a good, gentle soul. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Notice the same thing with the Tsarnaevs. Notice that? With the Tsarnaevs. The wife, I don't know. The girlfriends, I don't know. The family members, I don't know. San Bernardino, I don't know. The Orlando shooter, I don't know. The spouses never know. The families never know. They're blind, deaf, and mute. But they've got arsenals being stockpiled all around them. So let me ask you this. Do you think Mary Lou Danley was a part of the effort by Stephen Paddock to slaughter people in Las Vegas? Did Mary Lou Danley play a role in the Las Vegas massacre? If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe the answer is no, text the letter B to 680-680. You can vote online at WRKO.com. This poll question, as always, is sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. More with your calls. And was there a second shooter? Next.
And I know that she don't know anything as well, like us. She was sent away. She was sent away so that she will be not there to interfere or put his money.
1227 here on the great WRKO. That's one of the sisters of Mary Lou Danley saying her sister knew nothing, wasn't involved, and just basically that Stephen Paddock sent her to the Philippines to get her out of the way so he could unleash his massacre. Do you think she was involved or had a role or part to play? 617-266-6868. Peter, you're up first. Go ahead, Peter.
Hello there, Jeff.
Hi, Peter.
Thanks to the iPhone technology, I'm able to listen to Mike Savage after your show every day.
Oh, he's my hero. He's my mentor. Good friend of mine.
On Monday afternoon, he played an audio tape for about 20 seconds. The first part had what sounded like a very large automatic weapon with a lot of ammunition being fired. The second sound was the same weapon, but it sounded to be a second weapon firing at the same time. And a couple guys called a while after that, firearms expert, and they kind of said the same thing, that they were sure there was a second weapon being fired at the same time as this automatic weapon was being fired. So to answer your question, I'm confident there was a second shooter.
Well, Peter, I'm going to get into this at 12:35, but there is clearly now irrefutable evidence that he did meet and have a meal, lunch, dinner, whatever, with somebody at the Mandalay restaurant several days before the shooting took place. And it couldn't have been Mary Lou Danley because we know she was in the Philippines. So I'm going to get to that at 12:35. Now, was this a second shooter? Was this somebody who was just helping him or was part of this or had knowledge of it? We're going to have to find out. But again, the official story we're being told is a lie. Tom in Dedham. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, thank you so much for your investigation. I think that the deepest respect we can give to the victims is to get to the truth.
Yes.
Okay, to just chime in on the last caller, there's more than audio evidence. There is on YouTube, although it's being repeatedly deleted from YouTube. There is video evidence from separate people with their iPhones, one going by in a taxi cab, some people down that appears that are in the concert area taking pictures of a muzzle flash on, like, the fourth floor. Right now on YouTube, before it gets deleted, it's called Las Vegas Shooting Narrative Debunked in 3 videos. So
I've looked at that. Let me tell you what I've done, just so that you know. I have sent it off to some of our law enforcement friends. They're really good law enforcement officials. I've asked them to look at it, study it closely, and give me their feedback. So I'm aware exactly of the videos you're talking about. I can't, honestly, I don't want to sound like a spokesman. I can't comment because I don't know. I'm going to I've sent it off to people who I think could figure it out. They do this kind of investigations for a living. And when they get back to me, probably after the show, I will let all of you know. 617-266-6868. Coming up next, was there a second shooter? Let's take it to Lori Grandy in the newsroom for the latest update. Were there two shooters, or was there at least a second person inside the room with Stephen Paddock 4 days before he unleashed his massacre on those poor concert goers in Las Vegas? Okay, here is now what the Drudge Report has now unearthed, and I want to give a big hat tip to Drudge. According now to the Mandalay Bay server, Tony Hernandez Armenta, who works at the Mandalay Bay, he posted several receipts on Facebook. Now, remember, he's the server. He works at the Mandalay Bay. He shows, you clearly see it, what the receipts show is two things. Number one, there it was another person allegedly inside the room with Stephen Paddock. The receipt says 2 guests. They ordered food on September 27th. Remember, he was only supposed to have checked in allegedly September 28th. But you clearly see the date, September 27th. So allegedly that was a day before he officially checked in. They ordered a cheeseburger. In fact, I can tell you, Angus beef, extra caramelized onions, French fries, a bagel and cream cheese, potato soup, 2 Pepsis, and 1 bottle of water. So probably one person had the cheeseburger with the French fries, had himself a Pepsi. The other person probably had a soup and a bagel with cream cheese, a Pepsi. And like my wife often does, she'll have a bottle of water and then later order a soft drink. The receipt clearly says that there were 2 guests in the room. The food that was ordered appeared to be for 2 people. This was, like I said, on September 27th. So what that shows definitively is that somebody ate with Stephen Paddock. He ordered room service in that room. The receipt is clearly to that room 4 days before the massacre took place. Who was that person? Who? Was this a co-conspirator? Was this potentially a second shooter? Was this somebody who played a role, a part in helping Paddock get the guns into the room? For example, we've now found out, the Mandalay Bay security has confirmed this, that he ordered 10 suitcases full of rifles, hauled up one after another. So he had 10 suitcases full of rifles and ammunition spread out, brought in over a several-day period. Was this somebody who helped him get the guns? Was this somebody who helped him plan the attack? Is it potentially the Hispanic woman that for some reason now the media doesn't want to touch, whereby multiple witnesses said, that she ran up to them 45 minutes before the concert and said, "You're all going to blank and die. You're all going to blank and die." Either in panic to warn them or gloating or taunting, because she was so hysterical the way she was screaming, they can't tell the difference. Furthermore, what now is coming out from some people at the Mandalay Bay, including this server, is that Tony Hernandez Armenta said, no. Paddock was in the room not on September 28th, as we've been led to believe, but now turns out he was in the room starting September 25th, which explains why the meal came up at September 27th.
So has this waiter gone to the police about this?
Well, he posted the receipts up on Facebook.
Wouldn't you call the cops and tell them,
Well,
hey, I served this guy and he was with another person?
That's what I would do.
Then you give a description of the other person and everything? How come that doesn't come out yet?
If I were the police right now, who was the second person? Was it a male, female? How did this person look like? Give me a description, because this could crack open the case wide open.
This is what I don't understand. Why do you have to post it on Facebook? Just go to the police with it and let them know, because now it's just out on Facebook. We don't know if this is true or not, Jeff.
Well, we got the receipt. I mean, I'm just telling you, here it is. This is what the receipt claims. It doesn't look like it's forged. Apparently, there's a guy that is Tony Hernandez Armenta, does work at the Mandalay Bay room service. He is an employee there. The date clearly says September 27th. It clearly says his room. It clearly says 2 guests. Angus burger. Wow, $26. What a ripoff.
The whole thing is $84.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. Angus burger, double burger. Angus double burger, $26.
The soup was $12.
Unbelievable. Provolone, brioche, add caramelized onions, $2. Bagel cream cheese, $10. Plain bagel, toasted cream cheese. Yeah, 1 house soup, potato soup, $12. And then there's $2 beside the potato soup. So what is it? It's like an extra $2 for that? So it's 14?
Then they got Pellegrino water.
Yeah, 1 bottled
$10.
water, Pellegrino, 1 liter, $10. What a ripoff, man. 2 sodas, 2 Pepsis. Operation charge $9.90, subtotal $68.
Another thing.
Tax $643. No gratuity. These guys are cheap. What a bunch of cheap skunks. Mr. High Roller couldn't even pay a tip, and the thing came to 84, whatever it was.
He did. He left a $10 tip.
Oh, he did left
right there.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. My bad. All right, so I guess he wasn't a cheap skunk. But anyway, there it is, right there. I mean, I mean, guys, hello.
Well, what if it was just room service? What if he wasn't at the restaurant? Because he had a lot of room service ordered to the room.
No, I think this was room service to the room. It wasn't at the restaurant.
You believe that this receipt is room service?
That's what it says.
Okay, then how do we know there's 2 people in there? Well, if it was room service, you don't know. The guy could have had potato soup for lunch, a bagel for breakfast, and saved the burger for later, and got the 2 Pepsis throughout the day and out of water.
No. My understanding, Brittany, is this was all brought up to him at once.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He could have saved it all because he was in there setting everything up. He had a suite. Probably had a microwave, refrigerator in there.
All right. So and what about the 2 guests? You think that could just be a mistake?
That could just be a mistake. When when all that food and 2 Pepsis are ordered, you could put 2 guests. I don't know. This is very vague, Jeff.
Well, at a minimum,
but if he's setting up all of these guns and everything in there, why wouldn't he order something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? He didn't have left the room. Where's the security cameras? Where's the surveillance cameras? Somebody's got to interview Tony Hernandez Armenta, now, today, right now. That's because this needs to be explained. 617-266-6868. Mark in New York. You're up next. Go ahead, Mark.
Howdy, Jeff.
Hi, Mark.
This whole thing just doesn't make any sense. First of all, this guy was an accountant for Lockheed Martin. I want to know what fraud he uncovered at Lockheed Martin. I want to know what corruption he uncovered at Lockheed Martin. The man was an accountant. He dealt with the finances there. And all of a sudden, it's a defense contracting company. I don't put anything past them. But the next thing is about the foreknowledge. How did this Latino woman know 45 minutes before you're all going to die tonight? On Alex Jones' show on Friday, he said that after 10 p.m. on Red October, there was going to be an attack. And all of a sudden, October 1st at 10:08 p.m., there's a massive attack. But that's nothing compared to what someone posted on 4chan on September 11th, 2017. There was a user by the name of Lab NFE TV who said, stay away from Las Vegas. There's going to be a massive attack at Las Vegas. I mean, how is it that all these people knew in advance when the attack was going to come? He specifically says, the name of the project was going to be called High Incident Project. If you Google that right now, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody knew in advance, all these people knew in advance that this attack was coming, down to the date, the time, and the location.
Mark, I mean, I can't speak to much of what you said. I can only follow the facts. That's all I'm doing right now, or following at least the evidentiary trail. And so what I can tell you definitively, this is definitive, that he had over 47 guns, thousands of rounds of ammunition, explosives, that for a man like him, in his condition, at his weight, at his height, retired, etc., no background, no military background, no special forces background, to operate 2 snipers' nest, you're sweating like an absolute pig. It's almost impossible. But he did it. Okay, fine. Let's just say he did it. Then you've got the photo, bone dry. The guy is bone dry. Now, this is not Jeff Kuhner speculation. These are law enforcement professionals who are telling me, Jeff, this does not, I'm telling you, Jeff, I've buried bodies in Iraq. I've operated sniper's nests. I've been with colleagues who've died after operating a sniper's nest. Your shirt it's like you put it in water. It's drenched. So this idea that the body would be bone dry doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. You've now got a receipt that says 2 guests. Could have been an error. We'll see. Says 2 guests. The date is crystal clear. It's September 27th. Well, hold on now. If it's the receipt, unless it's a forged receipt, if it's September 27th, we were told he only checked in September 28th. So why the discrepancy between 28 and 27? How come that's not being explained? If there was a second person in the room, who is that person? There was a Latino woman, okay, with a boyfriend, whatever, yelling, screaming. Multiple witnesses have testified. That's irrefutable. Was it a coincidence? Is she just a crazy person who happened to say that? Or did she have foreknowledge? Now, my point is just this. Why is the media so quick? No, gun control, let's move on. Snapped, he's crazy, move on. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. So at a minimum, as I told Brittany, you got to get this guy, this server, Tony Hernandez Amaretta, whatever, and say, okay, this you? Yeah, you served? Okay, you went up to room service? Okay, 27th. Oh, it's not 28th. So did he check in on the 25th or the 28th? And if he did check in on the 25th, why are the police and the media telling us the 28th? And if there was a second person in the room, Tony, I don't know if you left it in front of the door, but if you did give it to him inside the room, did you see a second person? Now, my question is this. Why is NBC not on this? Why is CBS not on this? Why is ABC not on this? Why is CNN? Why is MSNBC? Why aren't they on this? I would be. 617-266-6868. Jim in Dedham. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, hi, Jeff. I had a couple of quick points.
Yes.
If somebody goes out and buys 40 guns in 3 months, what is the point of having FBI check if nobody's checking what this guy's buying? I mean, it's like the Apple Dumpling Gang is running the FBI and not paying attention. I know if I owe the state of Massachusetts $500 in back taxes, I get a letter every month. They track it like I owe them $1 million. So it's hard to believe that this guy can go out and buy all these guns, all these bullets, have constant FBI checks, and nobody's watching or paying attention. The other quick point I had was, why isn't anybody mentioning this guy's computers or phones? He was a CPA. He must have had a computer. I don't understand. I know when the San Bernardino guy had his phone, it was in the news every day about unencrypting his phone, and Apple wouldn't do it for them. But this guy didn't have a computer or a phone. There must be information on all that stuff.
Jim, look, you're right. Look, let me throw a couple more logs on the fire, and then I got to go for a quick break. Okay? Point number 1. He didn't just have handguns. He had AR-15s. He had AR-10s. He had AK-47s. He's amassed almost 50 guns? No one's asking anything? I know it's ATF, but still, it's supposed to oversee this. Thousands of rounds of ammunition, explosives, ammonium nitrate, explosives in his house, explosives in his car. I spoke again to some of these veterans. These are guys served in Iraq, multiple tours. They go, Jeff, I don't know how to assemble a freaking bomb. I can put some components together. I can't put together a bomb. How the hell did this guy put together multiple explosive bombs? So how come they're not asking? To me, that's an obvious question. Another one. Here's a guy, real estate investor. I mean, I'm just common sense. Real estate investor, businessman, high roller, buys and sells properties, has got 4 properties, 2 private planes. No social media presence whatsoever. Nothing. Not on Facebook, not on Twitter. Like the guy is a freaking ghost. Does this add up? No, it doesn't. Tom in New Jersey, you're up next. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Jeff, God bless you, and God bless America. Hey, Jeff, we'll keep it to the facts, and we'll let reasonable, intelligent people connect the dots and draw their own conclusion. You know, Michael Savage played audio yesterday, police audio, stating that there were 2 shooters. Okay, he played that on the air. The timeline that the sheriffs are claiming, the 19 minutes, is false. 10:08, the call comes in that there's possible criminal shooting. They bust in the room at 11:21, Jeff. That's 72, 73 minutes, not 19 minutes. Okay. 3 days a do not disturb sign on a room. What's the hotel policy on that? Do we bring in towels? Do we take a peek in the room and see what's going on? Or we just let somebody hole up in a room for 4 days with a do not disturb sign on? Jeff, we'll figure out the conclusion, but what this is a full-scale military-style attack on God, country, and family. Country festivals are the pinnacle of the celebration of God, country, and family. And what this accomplishes, that guns are the problem. We beef up the scorecard that white males can flip, and we're the same as ISIS.
Very, very good points, Tom. And now the question is, was Stephen Paddock radicalized? The sheriff opens that door. That story, your calls next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.